When you're writing an essay or a story, you most likely write in sentences, and you group those sentences into a paragraph. It might look like this. But a poet cuts up those sentences into smaller units, like with a pair of scissors, cuts the sentences up into lines that might look something like this. When a poet groups those lines into separate units and separates them from the other groups of lines, we call those groups of lines, those clusters of lines, those bunches of lines, stanzas. And that looks like this. Or like this. On one side, the stanzas are divided into groupings of 2. On the other side, you can see the groupings are in 3. There are any number of reasons a poet would divide the lines into groups of 2 or 3 lines or whatever number. Mostly, it's to see how the new relationships, line to line, stanza to stanza, relate to each other, or cohere, or don't relate, or don't cohere. The word stanza comes from the Italian, and the meaning of that word tells you everything you need to know about what stanzas are and how they work. In Italian, a stanza is the word for room, like the rooms of a house. As with a house, you've got big rooms and small rooms, rooms the same size, different sized rooms. Same with stanzas in a poem. Now, 2-line stanzas are the smallest rooms of a poem. We call those stanzas couplets. Think of the couplet like a room with a mirror on 2 opposite walls. The 2 sides reflect each other. One line of the couplet reflects the other line of the couplet. Here's the British poet Tom Gunn's incredible 2-line poem about a problematic love relationship. The whole poem in one couplet goes like this. Their relationship consisted in discussing if it existed. A couplet is a very powerful stanza, but obviously there are others. A triplet is a 3-line stanza. It's mostly like a couplet with an extra line. Haiku are probably the 3-line stanza forms that most people recognize immediately. You know, something like water lilies, one more thing that will never love me. Or the opening lines of Dante's Divina Commedia that goes, in the middle of the journey of our life, I found myself astray in a dark wood, where the straight road had been lost sight of. How hard it is to say what it was like in the thick of thickets, in a wood so dense and gnarled, the very thought of it renews my panic. No stanza in English or American poetry is more important than the quatrain. That's the 4-line stanza. It's the stanza for the old traditional ballad, which is one of the essential forms in all of poetry, a form that tells our most ancient stories. It's the stanza of most pop songs and country western songs. One of the Billboard chart's all-time top songs is John Lennon's Imagine. You know it. It starts, imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Or check out this one from a Scottish ballad so old we don't even know who wrote it. It's called Sir Patrick Spens. It's about a princess who's been stolen and taken to another island, and the king needs to send a great sailor to rescue her. It goes, the king sits in Dunfermline town drinking the blood-red wine. Oh, where will I get a skeely skipper to sail the ship of mine? Up in Spack an elder knight sat at the king's right knee. Sir Patrick Spens is the greatest sailor who e'er sailed the sea. Now, if you know how to make a couplet, a tercet, and a quatrain, you're in business. Because the longer stanzas of 5, 6, 7, 8 lines are just combinations of those basic 3, the couplet, the tercet, and the quatrain. Here's what they look like all together, as in the opening lines of Seamus Heaney's poem, Digging. It's a poem about his family's potato farm in Ireland. Between my finger and my thumb, the squat pen rests, snug as a gun. That's a couplet. That's 2 lines, the thumb and the gun mirroring each other. Under my window, a clean rasping sound when the spade sinks into gravelly ground. my father digging. I looked down. And there's the tercet. The first two lines set up the third one. I looked down till his straining rump among the flower beds bends low, comes up 20 years away, stooping in rhythm through potato drills where he was digging. And there's the quatrain, 4 lines, the story stanza, where the narrative gets more complicated. 3 different stanzas, like 3 different rooms. And when you read them and you experience whatever differences you notice in them, then you know something about how stanzas work. And you begin to notice the different coherences, special relationships, and cool possibilities for new meanings.